past 2 years, I have done countless renter-friendly DIYs in this apartment, and sadly, it is time to pack up and move out, which means tearing all of these DIYs down. But before that can happen, let's do a final tour of all of the DIYs and room makeovers that have happened here. Hi, I'm Alli and welcome to my channel. We are going to be covering a lot of ground in this video today because I really wanted to do something to showcase all of the renter-friendly DIYs, room makeovers, and projects that I have done throughout this apartment before we get to the part where we have to sadly tear them down. It just is such a bittersweet feeling at this point, but I'm so ready for our new adventure. But not without saying a final farewell to everything that we've achieved here. Let's just get right into it. So of course, the very first room that I started in was the craft room because this was going to be the space that gave birth to all of the future DIY projects and makeovers that you saw on my channel while living in this apartment. And the very first thing that I did in this space was install a shiplap wall, trying to keep it as damage-free as possible. Definitely not a totally renter-friendly DIY, but I knew that we could make this with minimal holes in the wall, and I think that it had an amazing look on camera, and I was willing to spend a little extra money and put a little extra work into a project like this because I knew that it was going to be the background of every single one of my videos, so it needed to look good and it needed to hold up and last long term, and this project definitely did that. Now, of course, no craft room is complete without lots of storage because craft supplies seem to take over, I feel like, when you are a DIYer. So I bought these shelves that had little cabinets on the bottom off of Amazon, and I tried to create a faux built-in look by leaving that back panel off and pushing them right up against the shiplap wall. It really did create this built-in look, even though that these could be easily moved. I just think it looked really, really nice in the room and of course gave me a lot of storage and functionality. And I don't think I'm going to be changing this kind of method when I move on to the new apartment. I'm definitely taking these bookshelves with me, but I'm thinking though they might be getting a little bit of a new look and a new makeover for the new space, but you know, we'll see what it looks like when we get there. After installing some curtains and making a really cute DIY pin board, even though I'll admit I totally did not use this for its full functionality, I had envisioned changing out the different things on the board as I worked on makeovers, but to be honest, that was just something that I was not about and would not keep up with because I was just trying to get projects done. So, you know what? I think that this pin board might not be the best solution for the new craft space, but stay tuned. I do have some ideas right there. I made a whole video on organizing this craft room, but for this you can kind of just see that I'm styling some of the little detail pieces and just making it look kind of cute, but I did end up giving it a whole different look to make it a little bit more functional, and I would definitely say that this room grew with me over time. Things definitely did change up in my backdrop as I acquired more supplies, found new storage solutions, and things like that. once I had all those pretty touches in place, here is a reminder of what that grand reveal looked like. I know you've seen this room so many times throughout all of my videos, and I don't know, it just felt good to start here because I don't often refer back to this room makeover, but it really felt like a good place to start in this video. The next space that got a makeover in this apartment was the entryway space, which technically this apartment does not have an entryway. It was just the door that opened into the living room with a little bit of a landing area, and it totally wasn't functional or working for us. So I wanted to make it into a designated entryway area by kind of sectioning it off and giving it its own moment. So the first thing I did was add some boards that went from the ceiling to the floor to create a faux board and batten look, and I just painted these the exact color of the existing wall. I had it color matched with this little hack where you take your knife and you cut off a little sample from behind an outlet. You can then take that to the hardware store, they'll color match it, and it will be perfect. Now, of course, this was a truly renter-friendly DIY right here because I just used command strips to hold those boards up on the wall, and I will tell you that they have lasted the entire time that they have been up there. Nothing has ever fallen down, and it still looks just as good as the day when I installed it. Now, one of the things that this space was definitely missing was storage, especially for shoes. And I don't know about you, but like it's so much more convenient to have your shoes by the door versus way down out of the way in a closet or something like that. So I wanted to add a shoe cabinet by the door, and IKEA makes some fantastic ones. And I was able to pick up the one that I am using here to transform. I picked that up for super cheap. It was like on clearance at IKEA, so I could not have beaten that. Now, this shoe cabinet totally wasn't the cutest one that they offer, but it was a nice compact size. But I did want to add the more shaker style framing on the doors just to elevate it a little bit more than that metal handle that it had where it kind of was like a little cutout. I just didn't think that looked as good. So I added these little trim boards in order to do that, and I think this just made it look so much nicer and more put together. And then I primed and painted the entire thing a nice gray taupe color. Now, once again, to add some functionality, though probably not super renter friendly, I did add 2 coat hooks by the door, and I just drilled those right into the wall. It's fine. You could totally, though, use just some command hooks, some of the heavy duty hooks, if you wanted to do this a little bit more renter friendly. But you know what? I'm not afraid to patch up the walls or fill in holes before move out and make everything look good as new, so I wasn't really concerned about doing this. And finally, in the space, I added a mirror as well as a rug and some finishing touches, and this is what we were left with. And I think this looked pretty good as a base, but it definitely was lacking some personality and color. That's why a few months later, I decided to re-tackle the entryway space and give it a little bit of a refresh. And one of the major things that I did was switch from using the anchors in the wall, which created these giant holes, to one of these 3M claw clips. These are amazing for a renter and allow you to hang big heavy things like this mirror right here with minimal holes in the wall. I'm talking the size of a nail hole, which is typically what is more allowed or more acceptable in a rental. So I totally love these and 100% back this product if you are a renter and want to hang something up on the wall like a big heavy mirror. And finally, to add that color and personality that I feel like the space desperately needed, I just went in and added some pretty decor touches. Most of these were items that I had thrifted or already had on hand, so this made this an incredibly budget-friendly refresh. Now let's move on to probably my favorite room makeover in the entire place, and that was the bedroom. This bedroom space was so big, which was awesome to have all of that room, but it definitely needed some character and personality. So the very first thing that I wanted to start with was, of course, an accent wall project. I love an accent wall project as a renter because it allows you to add some color, some customization into your space in a very removable way, and I try to find as many different ways to make accent walls as possible. So in this case, instead of the shiplap like I applied in the craft room, I bought big panels that look like shiplap and adhered them up to the wall using some command strips. These are the picture hanging command strips, so they essentially work like a piece of Velcro. They are awesome, and I use these in pretty much every single project. Just like I did in the entryway with that board and batten look, it's the same thing. But all you need to do if you're taking on a project like this is apply the command strips to the paneling and stick them up on the wall, and you are good to go. It's amazing how easy this is, and the best part is it held up so well. Nothing fell down once again, and it looks amazing. And as I mentioned, the fun part is this allows you to add some color and personality in a totally removable way. Just to really elevate this accent wall, I did add a shelf and put a couple small holes in the wall just to hold this into the studs. It really was just 3 small holes to support this picture ledge, and it turned out great. And I was able to put some cute decor up on the shelf, which you'll see in just a few minutes. Though one thing for sure, it did collect a lot of dust, so as much as I loved the look of this, I probably will not be doing something just like this again. So with that accent wall done, here's what I came up with for my inspiration for all of the decor and pretty finishing touches. I was really going for this kind of warm, cozy, traditional look, and I definitely feel like I was successful in that and achieved that for the space. Now, no makeover for me is complete without a good rug, and this may be my favorite rug ever. I love this thing. It is so pretty and just looks so good, and I just think it brings in that nice little almost like magical touch into the bedroom. Like, I don't know, it just gives like a dark, moody, cottage type feel, and I love it. I did some simple things like adding new curtains. I definitely was trying to play a lot more with patterns in this space, which was something I was very unfamiliar with, and I really enjoyed doing that and being a little bit more risky. But I can see looking back on this now that I've had a lot of practice doing some room makeovers and really just immersing myself in design. I think I could go even further with patterns and still make it look very tasteful, but I think that this was just a great stepping stone into that. So definitely stay tuned in the new apartment because I am going to try to be a little bit more risky in my design. I am really excited about it. I really want to play around with a cozy and layered look, and I am just getting so excited. Looking back on all of these makeovers are just making me feel so much more inspired for the new space and everything to come. Now, one of my room makeovers would not be complete without DIY, so I actually built a little frame to frame out my TV that I mounted on the wall. I don't know, I just thought it was cute, kind of gave it a little moment and made it feel a bit more like a piece of art instead of a TV just hanging there. And I definitely recommend this project. It's just such a fun, cute little thing that you can easily do in just a weekend or less. And here is what the room looked like after the makeover was complete. And I will say, I honestly didn't make any changes in this room after this makeover because I loved it so much. I think it was just perfect. It was the right amount of moody and cozy that I was looking for and hoping for. And yeah, I was just so proud of this makeover. And I feel like this is where I just finally found some confidence in my skills to be able to DIY and decorate a total space while keeping it renter friendly. If this is the first video you have ever clicked on my channel and you are not yet subscribed, then you are definitely going to want to hit that subscribe button, because all of these things that you see here now, well, we have a new blank canvas with a whole new apartment to transform, DIY, and be super creative in. So I would love to have you in our community here on I'm Alli DIY as we explore our creativity and DIY our dream spaces. Because even though we are renters, it doesn't mean that your space shouldn't feel like home. The next big makeover that I took on was, of course, the kitchen. This kitchen was so dark and outdated. The black appliances, the blonde or yellow wood cabinets, and that kind of orangey reddish floor just weren't working together as a whole, and I just wasn't feeling this space. It just wasn't that great to cook a meal in, and so it definitely needed something new. So here are the inspiration photos that I was kind of leaning for. You can see that I was trying to work with the color of the cabinets and bringing in some green tones because I knew that that would look really, really good with the color of the cabinets. I just knew that it was going to make it look a little more cohesive. The first area though that I tackled was kind of on the outside of the kitchen. You can see there's that entryway space right there. And what I wanted to do was add a nice little wraparound accent type area to set off this breakfast bar and make it feel more established, kind of like an island, and definitely like an accent that your eye is drawn to, as well as break off the kitchen area from that entryway area that we created by simply just expanding the board and batten look around, so it kind of just kept everything cohesive but allowed for a nice pop of color with, of course, green, because that is what we were working with in this space. One thing that I did that, of course, I always feel like all of my makeovers have one little non-renter friendly project, but that is okay, is I added some lights from the ceiling. These are not wired in, so that is, I guess, renter friendly in a sense. But I really thought some pendant lights over the breakfast bar would create a nice look, and I think that they really completed this space and made it look way more elevated and definitely not like your boring basic rental. Now moving on into the actual kitchen itself, one of the best things that I think I did was install the peel and stick backsplash tiles, and of course before putting those tiles down, putting a layer of removable contact paper underneath. This is going to make sure that those tiles do not stick to the wall, because I have seen and heard the horror stories and I was not going to be one of them. And I hands down definitely say, if you are going to add peel and stick tiles, even over existing tile, put down a base layer first of some removable wallpaper or contact paper. That way, in the future, it can all be removed and you don't have to worry about any sort of damage afterward or a really difficult cleanup process. Though, of course, we will see if this totally worked in my upcoming removal video, because I have not yet removed this to be able to guarantee that it was perfect, but I have a good feeling that this is going to work and not cause any sort of issues. But you're gonna have to come back for my next video to see if this truly is renter friendly, because I was putting it to the test. I swapped out the ugly flush mount light with something just a little bit nicer. It's still a flush mount light, but I think that adding a drum shade instead of the other glass shade just looked a little bit nicer. And I also swapped out the hardware on all of the drawers and cabinets. Finally, it was time to add all of the decor touches. I find that this always brings the space together, and this is where the vision really starts to feel complete with the rug and all of the different items on the countertop. I did try to make this kitchen space functional while also pretty at the same time, and I do think I was successful with that because after this makeover was complete, not only did I feel just more happy to be working in this space and cooking meals in this space, I do feel like it just worked a little bit better than the previous setup when everything just looked the way it did when we moved in. And while I said the bedroom was probably my favorite makeover, I do think that this one was my favorite transformation. Next up, I gave my hallway a mini makeover because I just felt like it needed something. It was just so boring and dark, and I had an idea for a bit of an unconventional accent wall in the hallway, which maybe is a bit controversial, but I love it and I think this was perfect. And that was adding some picture ledges along this one wall here and then styling it up with Alex and my antique camera collection or vintage camera collection. And I think this was such a great use of this empty wall right here. We really had nowhere else to put these cameras, which are something that we love and are interested in, and it reflects our hobbies and really kind of our relationship in general. And I just think that even if something is a bit unconventional, if it's something that you love and you know is going to kind of create a statement or even just a talking piece in your home, it is totally worth doing. So take the risk and take on projects like this. Not everyone's gonna love them, but if you do, that is all that matters. And then all I needed to do was add a rug in because this hallway was long and also the flooring was a bit slippery. So we needed the rug there just for some safety. And so I'm glad we added that. And this hallway had the dreaded ceiling light. And so I wanted to create something to cover it up. So I just got a giant round basket, cut a hole in the bottom so that it would fit around the light, added some eye hooks, and then I was able to just put this little shade up over the existing light, and it definitely elevates the hallway and hides those unsightly landlord special lights. And I love how this kind of draws the eye upward in the space and adds some visual interest. It really does look good, and I recommend doing whatever you can to cover up these light fixtures if you have them and you can't stand the sight of them like I do. Okay, next up, let's talk about the bathroom. This is the primary bathroom in this apartment, and the vanity area was separate from the shower and toilet areas, so I kind of needed to give this two separate makeovers that worked together cohesively, so created a bit of a challenge, but I wanted to make this makeover as renter-friendly as possible. And one of my favorite ways to do that is by adding peel and stick wallpaper. I found a nice subtle peel and stick wallpaper that I applied over the entire space in the vanity area. And as much as I would have loved to have done something fun and funky with a pop of color, I did not want to compete with the bedroom makeover. One of my favorite things to do, just like swapping out knobs, is swapping out any of the fixtures that you can, like the towel racks and towel hooks, which is exactly what I did in this bathroom space. Now, my bathroom had a little alcove with some open shelving, which I do love for some storage, but I also don't love that it was looking just kinda ugly. So I wanted to try something where I got some MDF and cut an arch out, and I wanted to put that in the little alcove space to make it feel a little more intentional. And also I have just seen other DIYers do this, so I wanted to try it for myself and see if it worked and how it looked. And I definitely think this one turned out really well, and I recommend doing it if you have some of the tools in order to do it, because it just really made the space feel more designated and more put together. Now, another project that I love is covering up the wire shelves, which you can just do with some plywood and some front-facing boards. You stain them or paint them up in whatever color you want, and it creates this beautiful floating shelf look where you don't have to look at these wire shelves. I mean, look at this space. It just feels so much more transformed. Now, just like I did with the TV frame, I also decided to frame out the builder grade mirror that was in the vanity area, and that was a big mirror, let me tell you. So I really had to make a giant frame to put around it, but it looks so much better now that it has a frame. It looks way more expensive and intentional. So yeah, if you have a boring, just basic frameless mirror, 100% I recommend doing something like this. And finally, it was time for all of the pretty touches to bring the space together. Now, we cannot forget the patio, because even though it's an outdoor space, it is still part of having an apartment and definitely deserves some love. So here's what the patio looked like when we started. It was a nice big deck, and I really did enjoy this space. One of the very first things I did here was add a privacy wall, and then also built a DIY outdoor sofa using some IKEA storage boxes. Those are two completely separate videos because they were a lot of work. But after those projects were complete, it meant that the patio makeover could commence, and I could add in all of the things to turn this into a little piece of paradise outside of my apartment. So that included adding a rug, adding some string lights, and of course adding lots of plants to make it feel cozy. I really enjoy how I was able to make this patio have a dining area along with the seating area, because it made it multifunctional and so much more fun to use during the summer months. I just loved having this outdoor space and having a space to lounge and also a spot to sit down and enjoy a meal at the end of the day or lunchtime or breakfast even. I just think it was just so nice to be able to have a spot to be able to enjoy being outside that was ours and came together and looked so cute. And I will say that I think I had the most fun decorating this patio and bringing this space together. Kind of emotional to go through and see all of the progress and all of the amazing changes that we made in this apartment to make it feel super pretty, super homey and inviting, and I am really proud of everything that we achieved here. Of course, I would not have been able to do any of this without you guys and watching my videos and all of your support. It truly means everything to me, so thank you so much for following along on my channel, for clicking on this video if you're not already subscribed yet. I can't believe where this YouTube journey has taken me. We have been going through multiple apartments together now, and this one is going to be the biggest and best one yet. I'm so excited to bring you guys along with me. So the next stop, of course, is tearing everything down. Everything has got to go, which is scary because we're going to find out if these DIYs are truly renter friendly, and we will be doing everything to make this return back to exactly the way it was when we first got the keys so we can get our deposits back. So stay tuned because that video is coming out next. In the meantime, if you want to check out any of these makeovers in full, I have a whole playlist right here on the screen. And thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.